This is 5 Minute Feng Shui, episode 48. There's Feng Shui and there's Crazy Shui. Welcome to the 5 Minute Feng Shui podcast, where each week I talk about how to move energy and make money. You'll learn how to create a prosperous home and an abundant life using classical Chinese Feng Shui. I'm your host, Katie Weber, publisher of the Red Lotus Letter, Feng Shui Easing for Wealth. Each week, I'll cover Feng Shui topics that can help you improve your life, share inspiring stories, and always end with 3 easy-to-implement Feng Shui tips that you can put to work right away, and usually in about 5 minutes. Now let's get started on the 5 minutes that could change your life. Today we're talking about Feng Shui, but we're talking about the Feng Shui that's a little bit on the wacky side. I don't know how to call it other than it's Crazy Shui. And before we get started, though, I want to say thanks so much to my listeners. Last week, I mentioned someone in Switzerland who left a beautiful review, and I also want to mention I had a couple of other listeners as well. Erin McGee had written and said she loves to see my emails in her inbox every week, and also listens to the podcast. Also, Carol from the Philippines, thank you so much for listening in to the podcast, for being a subscriber. I love you guys, and I love to hear from you when you send me a note or say, hey, I listen. Send me a note if you like the podcast. It really makes my day. If this has been fun for you to listen to, if you feel like you've learned something and it's been enjoyable to boot, hey, I'd love to hear it. So send me a note at katie@redlotusletter.com, and I almost always answer. In fact, I don't think of a time that I really don't answer. I make a lot of effort to reach out and to be in contact with everyone who contacts me. So thanks so much for both of your comments, Erin and Carol. Thank you so much, and to you for listening today. Okay, so let's get talking about the Crazy Shui. In my line of work, one of the things that happens is that I will get a Feng Shui client who is asking me to do a rescue consultation, basically from a consultant who took the crazy train right on out of Feng Shui town. And this happens. In fact, it happens quite a bit more than I care to tell you about. It's sort of surprising some of the things that I get to hear, but it's all part of doing this type of job. You're going to hear some strange stuff, but it's also part of the fun that I have being a Feng Shui consultant, writing about Feng Shui, and getting a chance to help people with their homes and their lives. Now I understand that we all have a different take on things. It's true. We all have our opinions. But what I'm talking about is the difference in Feng Shui where it's no longer recognizable as Feng Shui. I mean, I'm talking about some way out there stuff. It's the kind that has clients doing positively weird, crazy rituals and stuff that's just hands down odd. And here are some of the kinds of Feng Shui that I've come across and how it really can kind of hurt Feng Shui as a practice and as a profession. So let's get started. The first one is frog turning. This is what I call it. In Feng Shui, wealth frogs are toads that are placed on a low table across from a door and that are used to symbolize wealth. They basically symbolize like a coin purse and the ability to hold on to good chi that comes into the front door. Frogs are typically seen as omens of wealth and prosperity because they're always associated and found in the presence of water, and water is wealth in Feng Shui. Now, some Feng Shui practitioners say that you have to have the frog face the door during the day, then turn it away at night. And then other ones tell you that you have to have them turn into the house and not at the door. If somebody is telling you that you need to start turning frogs at day and night, and they tell you to turn it in any other direction other than facing the door, I like to put it diagonal in the room or diagonal from the door of any room on a low table. Not up on a desk or anything like that, but on a low table and facing diagonally to the door. That's the lucky corner, by the way. And that's where you want the frog to be. If they tell you to start moving your frogs around day Friday night, well, then you need to move on from that person. Second one is you got to store some water. Now, it's true, all homes need water. Water represents income, it represents our salary, prosperity, business opportunities. Water is often used to solve problems in Feng Shui, like when a serious affliction falls in a sector with a toilet. Let me tell you, a toilet is not a bad thing in Feng Shui, and some people will try to convince you that it's a horrible thing. It isn't, but it can create some energies that you don't necessarily want, but there are ways around that, people. There are not ways around indoor plumbing. I don't ever want to go without indoor plumbing. Let's make Feng Shui make sense, right? So toilets can actually solve some problems, so they're not always a difficulty. However, there are some consultants that will tell their clients to put large bottles of water or wood or metal or boulders all over the house. And I don't know about you, but living with jugs of water stacked in a closet doesn't seem like good Feng Shui to me. Water is always best when it's flowing, and it works better in Feng Shui too. This is called yang water. We typically want water to be flowing and moving. Now, there's instances where yin water is helpful. So, for instance, like a little pond or a type of like a large bowl or basin of water, particularly if you have difficult neighbors, that water will help kind of drown the contentiousness if you argue with your neighbors, that kind of thing. And that's the case where you might want to have some still water. But there are actually clients that I've worked with who have been told to put all kinds of jugs of water all over the house. That is just not realistic. And I don't know what that just falls under the category of mumbo jumbo. Okay. The other one is that your home is a sanctuary. The best, most productive, healthy, and prosperous houses are those that lean more to the yang and energetic side. That means that they have a vibrant atmosphere with nice landscaping around the house, attractive furnishings. The house is usually well kept, clean, and visually appealing. There's too much talk around Feng Shui about creating that whole peaceful environment for the whole home. And while it sounds nice, peaceful environments, they usually involve cemeteries and churches. I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in either of those places. Having a peaceful, relaxing bedroom is one thing, but a completely zen home is another. What houses need are a sense of balance, with the scales tipped a little bit more to the yang, because that's a house of the living, with plenty of light, movement, and a harmony of elements. A house has to feel and look alive in order to have that yang kind of energy. Otherwise, it'll turn yin. When a house is starved for yang energy, residents suffer from health problems like a lack of money, relationship problems, excess weight, respiratory issues, sinus problems, headaches, accidents, injuries, and so on. Always aim for an energized home that's not overly peaceful, or you will be living in a yin house and have problems with money, health, and so forth. And we don't want that. We always want to have an energized house. All right, here's another crazy idea, and that is that you should hang a crystal over every door. So I had a client who came to me and showed me what her consultant had previous to me had told her to do. And she had a crystal over her bed, she had a crystal over each door, and she had crystals in each window. I mean, it was a crystal fantasy land. Now, crystals in a window are absolutely terrific. They're wonderful, especially if they're the east or the south or the west. They get that sunlight, and they will reflect it into the home with a rainbow of colors, and that's beautiful. But hanging a crystal in every doorway is odd. And yes, I've heard this from practitioners to hang this. Just remember that anything overhead exerts a strong influence, and crystals are an earth element, symbolizing earth overhead. Again, we're back to cemeteries, right? When you have earth over you, well, it's not a good thing. So we don't want to have those hanging in every doorway. We don't want to have them hanging over your bed. We don't want them in every window, just in a couple of windows, but take them out from hanging all over. Now, there are some instances where hanging crystals are helpful, such as if you have a back door and front door alignment, you can hang crystals down between the two, and that will help. But if they're on every door, take them out. All right, another fallacy that is just plain crazy is to cure my bathroom. Now, again, as I talked about earlier, not every bathroom is a problem. In fact, I like mine. Many times there's afflictions or problems that bathrooms actually solve. But if you have a bathroom, you're really never going to cure it. But you can help your home's feng shui by activating the energy in the corner of the house that the bathroom corresponds to. So, if your bathroom is in the southeast corner of wealth, you may have a hard time adding assets or building up savings. You will want to activate the southeast corner of your living room to help create more wealth and improve your assets. I have a problem with the word cure, and in fact, I almost never say it. So I always say that some things have to be handled. They can't necessarily be cured, and we can try to remedy a situation. That doesn't mean it's absolutely not going to exist. We can't cure a bathroom. That just doesn't happen. We also want bathrooms, number 2. And number 3, I talked on the last episode about the bagua. The bagua can go over your whole home. It can go over a room, or it can go over your plot of your house or your desk. Now, there's a saying about, or there's an idea that it's called the Tai Chi. Now, when we see that yin yang symbol, that's called the Tai Chi, and it can be, again, small as a grain of sand, big as the cosmos. And there's the large Tai Chi, which means the very large energy of your home or your lot, or there's the small Tai Chi, which is to basically boil down your whole house into the living room, and you can activate your whole house from the corresponding parts of your living room. So again, if you're having trouble with investments, with savings, with accumulating money and saving money, then maybe the bathroom that's in the southeast corner of your house is draining it away. You just can't ever really get started. So you'll activate that southeast corner of your living room. The same thing is true of the east. If you've got, let's say you've got a laundry room or a kitchen in the east corner of your house, well, you might want to put a pretty plant or something green or a big piece of furniture in the east corner of your living room in order to accent that corner that has the affliction of the stove or the garage or the laundry room, whatever it may be. So remember that. You can't cure the bathroom. All right, next one is harmonizing everything. Harmonizing is a sure sign that your practitioner doesn't really know what they're talking about. This is when you try to harmonize the room with a color, for instance, like adding red, a fire color, to the kitchen because the kitchen happens to be in the south corner. You don't have to harmonize every corner of your home. So, for instance, like I was saying, if you've got if you've got a south kitchen and then you go and you put red in it, or because you have a kitchen and the kitchen is associated with fire, so we're going to make the kitchen red. First of all, red kitchens are never a good idea. It's very important that if you do have a red kitchen, that you repaint. And the reason why is because the kitchen is actually associated with fire, and too much fire can burn the house down. A little bit of fire, makes a pot of tea or lights a candle, but too much, it can quickly get out of hand. Fire and water are the two elements that we really want to manage, because those are the two elements that can be the most destructive. So when you're talking about, so for instance, if you have a bathroom and, a lot of people, what do they paint their bathrooms with? Water scenes, right? That could actually, they'll put I saw a bathroom it was a whole beach scene. There was a whale that was painted. I mean, this is a bathroom. They went all out with the whole water. It's the same thing by having too much water. If the bathroom's watery and then you're adding more water on top of that, that's probably not a good idea. In fact, it isn't a good idea. So remember that harmony is great in music. In Feng Shui, it can sometimes cause problems. We don't always want to harmonize everything. The last one is a big one, and the last concept I want to talk about is the bathroom. And and tying ribbons around faucets and putting mirrors over toilets and all that kinds of stuff. A sure sign that you're dealing with some crazy shui is, that's hard to say, crazy shui is when it starts just plain looking silly. For instance, tying a ribbon around sink faucets. Good feng shui, I want to impart to you, is one that makes sense. It looks good. It's something that you can reasonably do and maintain. Putting a mirror over the toilet looks odd. It's also one of the most impractical recommendations is closing all the sink and bathtub drains. Well, that's great if you have an unused bathroom. I don't know about you, but I use my sink, I use my bathtub, I use my toilet, but you can close the door. Going around and opening and closing drains, instead of worrying about water draining, worry more about adding water that's generating. That is what you need to worry about, not the water that's draining. We need water to flow away just as much as we need water to flow into our life. The water that flows away is waste, and we want that to continue and continue flowing. The concern that we have is just having all this goofy stuff. Like I was saying, having red ribbons tied on faucets and toilet handles and things like that. It's just ridiculous. You really have to think about practicality in feng shui. Practicality is good feng shui, and good feng shui is practicality. So if you're worried about the water draining out of the bathroom, don't. It's supposed to. Just close the door. But make sure your home is pretty and practical, because this goes a long way toward creating good feng shui, and you don't have to add mirrors behind the stove, which you should never ever do, tie any kind of plumbing with red ribbons, or put mirrors around the bathroom other than where you're going to brush your teeth and comb your hair. So hopefully these ideas have given you some food for thought about feng shui and how it can sometimes take a flying leap off the edge of reality. So let's talk about your 3 tips for today for episode 48's Crazy Shui. Number 1, put mirrors where they reflect a beautiful view, not the toilet. You don't want to reflect the toilet ever. We always want to reflect something beautiful. So if you have a wall or you have a window in your living room with a beautiful view, put a mirror on the wall opposite to double that view. Put the mirror in a dining room to double the light from your chandelier and the enjoyment and the happy times that you have dining at your table. Use mirrors this way, not over toilets. Number 3, keep your house activated. Keep it bright, keep it clean, keep it well lit. Keep motion and movement in it, like pets or pendulum clocks that gong and chime, new flowers put out, healthy looking plants. All those go a long way to keeping your house activated. Number 3, love your indoor plumbing, but don't activate it and do silly things to it. Indoor plumbing is a wonder of our century. We're only 19 years into it, this new century, but it is a wonder of last century. And I don't know about you, but I think we've come a long way having indoor plumbing, and I'm so grateful for it. So you don't have to go tie ribbons around it. Let's just be grateful for it, but keep the door closed. And that's all you got to do. Have a great day, everybody. And I'll talk to you again on the next episode of 5 Minute Feng Shui. Thanks for listening today to 5 Minute Feng Shui. Be sure to join me on Facebook at facebook.com/Feng Shui Katie. And if you're really ready to move ahead quickly, head over to redlotusletter.com and sign up for my free 4-week e-course, 28 Days to Prosperity. You'll get daily lessons and tips on how to get unstuck and create financial flow in your life. Make it a fantastic day.